You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Dozy Place on Government Street in Mid-City. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, and Max Gautreaux. Jordan Kinchin's back in the studio. Glad you're with us today. Andy is go with us. We do first class, second class, no class on Tuesdays. Might feel like a Monday. Hope everybody enjoyed the long holiday weekend. Jimmy, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah,
it was good weekend.
It was, yeah, and it strange yesterday not to be, dialed into the selection show from LSU's standpoint. That was the first time since 2011 that the Tigers are not in the tournament. We knew that early in the week. So I don't know how you felt, but it was kind of like, all right, well, I watched the show, of course, and I'm going to watch all the baseball because I love this tournament. But it was awfully strange between the weather being kind of funky here this weekend and not having LSU baseball. Just a little bit, I don't know, empty. I think a lot of the LSU fans felt that way. This is kind of the ultimate time of year for college baseball, and LSU's not in it. We've, gone ad nauseum. Why?
Well, it's not, we weren't blindsided.
No. We saw this coming well over a month and a half ago. So
at what point in the season we're saying, man, this team's not going to make it? It's about halfway through the SEC. We were talking about.
I guess everybody kind of gave up the ghost at their own personal time. I would say for me, when they came home and got swept by Texas A&M after getting swept by Ole Miss, I'm like, okay,
yeah.
You're 6-12 in the league at that point. That was kind of like you got to get one of those.
You got some tough series along the way.
Yeah, and you knew you still had Georgia, you still had Florida, and you still had to go to Mississippi State. That was kind of. And that was April the 19th, 17th through the 19th.
And Friday night of the A&M series was the Johnson meltdown, huh? Kind of the
yeah.
Okay.
And they got thumped pretty good in that game. And that was kind of when I was, oh wow, no, they're not going to rebound from this. And
or not likely. Yeah.
And right about that time was when they found out that Cooper Moore was not coming back. So they were not going to.
Jake Brown went down pretty
a little bit after that because he was at the Mississippi State series. I think it was a South Carolina series that he went down for good. But knowing that they weren't going to get Brown back. Moore.
Yeah,
back.
that was later. You're right. I remember that too. Like, well, what else can happen? Kind of
that was kind of when it went sideways. But I don't know what struck you watching these conference tournaments, but I'll tell you what got me is how incredibly top-heavy this thing has suddenly become. Georgia won the SEC with room to spare. But what I was concerned about with them was, are they too home run dependent playing in that homer-friendly park? How will they do in a bigger park?
They look pretty damn good.
Just fine.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah. Georgia Tech, dominant in the ACC throughout the season. And then they go and just put an exclamation point on the ACC tournament. And then UCLA, who's been the number one team for most of the season, goes and now it's a close game against a really good Oregon team in the final, but they put the regular season title and the tournament title on top of it. So this is the top three leagues, the top three power leagues, and the regular season champion won the conference tournament. And I don't know if you say UCLA in dominant fashion because of the last game because it was close, they almost lost. But the other two,
one out away from
but the other two were dominant. Georgia Tech thumped North Carolina, and Georgia pounded Arkansas, and they were in pretty much command. So all three of the regular season champions won the conference tournament, and two of them won it in dominant fashion. And there's your three top national seeds, and they're going to be very hard to keep out of Omaha.
Oh, well. Can you throw in the Big 12? Kansas won the regular season and won the tournament as well.
They did, and I should have thrown them in there. You're right. They're a little bit further down. They're a little bit further down in the RPIs than those other three. But yes.
Okay, but are they fourth?
No.
No. Okay, is with Southern Miss. They won the regular season.
Southern Miss
and
is
won the
12.
tournament.
Yeah, and look,
Jacksonville State, they won the regular season. Won the
Jacksonville
tournament.
State getting a 3 seed might have been the biggest surprise to me yesterday, that they were not a 2 somewhere of everything that came out in that tournament bracket.
All of the regular season champions won the tournament.
Yeah.
And how many times have we seen? Now, you see different approaches, but Manera used to put more emphasis on the SEC tournament than Johnson or Bertman for sure. If you kind of know if say you had a season like Georgia, like Auburn, like who else was it? Texas. You just go through and just throw you guys 75 pitches, get their workout, and get in and get out. Get a kind of deal. You win. So be it. But now listen, these teams were not without challenge. You can't win a conference tournament just boat racing everybody. That's not normal. And UCLA was down in the 8th inning in the final, and they were down to their last out against USC after being 45-0 or something this year, leading after 8 innings, and gave up the lead at the top of the 9th to USC.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an unbelievable game. You had, Georgia was challenged, and then they rolled in the final, but the semifinal was extremely close. Southern Miss was down 4 runs going to the 9th inning in one of the earlier games. They scratched across the run, and then a walk-off grand slam.
Down 3 walk-off grand slam.
I think that was Troy.
Yes.
That they beat, came back on that one. Then they kind of win, 10-0 against Liberty in the final. But Kansas, I think, were a late season at a series at home with West Virginia, beat them 2 of 3, or even swept them during the regular season.
They did sweep them.
They swept them, but I mean, they
West Virginia swept Kansas.
Yeah. But Kansas boat raced them in the final. Mm-hmm. Now, look, that game was much closer, too, when they had some you talk about all the luck on Kansas' side. I mean, but still, they were a big underdog, by the way, in that game. So you just had, it's not but Georgia Tech, I think that's the one that nobody played them close, huh?
No. Nobody was within 6 runs of them.
Yeah, so they were. Charlie, they set a record this year for most home runs hit.
Yeah,
that's kind of a common theme. Georgia leads the country in home runs. I watched intently in Omaha, and the ball is carrying. It's okay down the lines, but alley to alley, it's just a dead man's. But it seems like, and we set a record for home runs in the SEC tournament.
Yeah,
it seems like I'm just trying to NIL, bigger, stronger guys are staying a little bit longer, or harder throwing. Mm-hmm. So you got more velo, you got more room, but it's still, like you said, I respect Georgia going into that park because it plays completely different from theirs. Yeah. And they're really good. That's a hell of a conference, the SEC, for them to win by how many games? And then win your conference tournament? That's saying a lot, man.
I agree.
And don't we respect Wes Johnson running the show?
Yeah. They win the conference by 3.5 games. So here's the other thing. And as we're just into the second year of these mega conferences, okay?
Yeah.
One of the things we observed in the regular season is that your conference strength of schedule is not an automatic anymore. You could end up with a drag on your RPI because if you end up with the 3 bottom teams in the conference, the way Vanderbilt did, maybe your requisite number of conference wins is not enough the way it was for years. Here's the other thing. It has reduced these conference tournaments to single elimination affairs. UCLA played 3 games. Georgia Tech played 3 games. Georgia played 3 games. It was just like a regular series. Their pitching was not taxed. They did not have to go into pitchers that were midweek guys or deep bullpen guys. Arkansas did have to play a 4th game. They got
how many
thumped in the
times have
final.
we seen that SEC final where it was
midweek guy against midweek guy?
Beyond guys that
12 innings for the
aren't
year.
going to throw the rest of the year.
Yes, and we saw it a lot. And so now that for instance, UL Lafayette in the Sun Belt tournament played 7 games. Okay, I
Yeah.
mean they go 5-2.
Yeah.
So
USM played a lot of games.
yes,
Southern Miss did. Yeah.
so now you can see these heavyweights with the double buys, and you're not going to come out of a losers bracket because there's no more losers bracket. You lose, you go home. You are able to play these conference tournaments more like a regular season series, and therefore your favorites are going to be that much more advantaged.
And they should. You know, that over,
They've earned
over
that.
30
I have
game,
no problem with that.
You know, even though the schedules can be weighted, you know, that's and you know what, from a spectator's perspective, I can follow a single elimination tournament way easier. No, this team
Yes.
they're gone.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
wait, Southern Miss, do they have they're playing Sunday morning, but
They
is
gotta
this
come
the
back and play
final,
again,
or is this
yeah.
you know,
And that's if it doesn't rain. If it rains,
yeah, and then
even.
you have and the rain is a factor. There's no doubt. But yeah, I like a lot of the single elimination stuff a lot more.
So that those are some of the things that you know in the conference tournaments. Big surprises out of the bracket. I told you Jacksonville State being a 3 seed. I know we're going to do a podcast
What's their
later
RPI?
today. 20.
What's in the 20s? An upset.
Well, hang on. It was 25. Yeah, to be a 3 seed.
What was their record against Alabama in Auburn this year?
Let's see.
4-7 seed.
Jacksonville State, they 0-1. I'm just going through here. 0-2, 1-2, 2-2.
2-2.
2-2. They beat Auburn twice, lost to Alabama twice. They had.
Oh, they beat Auburn twice.
Yeah.
And lost out. Okay.
And lost to Alabama twice. They had 16 Q1 and Q2 wins.
Wow.
All right. So just to put that into perspective, that's one less than Nebraska, who is a regional host. Okay, that's one less than Florida State, who's a regional host. It's 2 less than Alabama, who's a top 8 national seed. No, they're good. We watched them a couple of times. I was shocked that they were a 3.
I brought that to your attention weeks ago. I said this team's good.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
what we're trying
saw them play.
what led me to them first was, okay, why is Alabama's RPI so high? You know, when we're kind of this 2/3 of the way through the season.
Right.
Okay, what's going on? And then I'll look at some of the non-conference, and then I watch the Auburn Jack. I said, no, this team's legit. They're very, very polished. Just no surprise for them. I rode them a little bit in that conference tournament. I think they lost 1 game. Now they had a game where they, had to come back late. Down late innings and win. Yeah, I mean most teams did, minus Georgia Tech. But no, they can play, man. And watching them beat Auburn, and I know it's midweek pitching, but it was no fluke. It was no wow pitches. It was they were better. They were better. Period.
Yeah. The other thing that ruffled some feathers yesterday, I really didn't have that big of a problem with it. Was Mississippi State getting a host site instead of Arkansas, which the committee chair said it wasn't just an either or. There were teams in there. Mississippi State had the higher RPI.
They finished 4th. They got the 14 seed.
They got the 14 seed.
And that was a surprise. I thought they'd be 15 or 16. That's
Yeah.
more of a surprise. But
Yeah.
sometimes you know how when it comes down to the borderline team to get that get that host site, they kind of they give themselves a little bit. Well, they weren't the last team. Kind of
Yeah.
I sense a little bit of that with them.
I didn't have the outrage that some of the people had. Arkansas did win the regular season series, but Mississippi State had a higher RPI. They had a higher strength of schedule, and they won more games in the regular season. Arkansas got a little bit deeper in the SEC tournament. I didn't have a huge problem with that. We did predict before we left on Friday that Florida was going to jump up and take that number 8 national seed.
Oh, it's close. So it had to be close with Southern Miss.
It was, and I expected maybe that it was them against A&M, and A&M, once they lost, ended up dropping all the way down to 12. So I thought Florida would go in there. Southern Miss had, they're right next to each other.
Right.
Florida's 11, Southern Miss is 12.
Yeah, playing in Gainesville or Hattiesburg is a completely different deal. And I know they lost when they hosted in the Super to Ole Miss and Tennessee, but No, they were. Was Tennessee a super or was that a regular regional?
That was
when they lost? I know the Ole Miss was a super.
Yeah, it was a regular regional,
Okay,
I think.
okay.
And, I was happy, and I think you will be too, that strength of schedule kind of ruled the day on a lot of these things. Like Southern Miss in Florida, Southern Miss's strength of schedule was a very respectable 35, but Florida's was 2. So if you want to reward that, I don't have.
Was there RPI difference?
1. It was 11 to 12.
Okay.
But so I don't have I don't have a big problem with that. Mercer getting left out, bummer for them. They were 28 RPI. Hell, we've seen that happen to LSU with an RPI in the 20s get left out. But they only had one Q1 win the whole season. The strength of schedule was 118. And the committee chair said, listen, they had an opportunity with their geographic location to play some out-of-conference games, and they didn't do it. Okay, well.
To Mercer?
Yeah. So that was, that was a deal with them. And other than that, I was pretty, pleased with the bracket. I love what they did up in Eugene, Oregon State, and Washington State. The whole Pac-12 reunion. That's going to be a little bit. That's going to be a little bit chippy.
Well, travel considerations.
Nebraska getting the host for the first time since 2008. And we remember what they used to put in there in the early 2000s when Van Horn was the coach there. Ole Miss and Arizona State. UL Lafayette gets in. They go to Starkville. I think they really, really good pitching matchup in Game 1 with them in Cincinnati.
If State and Georgia hold, well, how many runs will they score in Athens? Golly. That will be.
I'm sorry, but they got a
Arkansas
favorable draw.
Who?
Georgia, and they
deserve
earned it. Right, they earned it. But
see,
the 2 seed there is
compared to some of the ones LSU's gotten recently.
The 2 seed there is 9 spots lower in the RPI than Jacksonville State is as a 3 seed. Okay,
you should reward them.
No, you should.
You
should.
You said it. Look, man, the three power conference regular season champs also won their conference tournaments. They pulled away.
Yeah.
They made some statements, and so they should have some interesting. I think it's interesting. A traditional power like Arkansas, who this is not supposed to be one of their stronger teams on paper entering, but they're way more comfortable in a postseason than Kansas. Period. So that is going to be.
Dave Van Horn. This ain't his first rodeo, and I know they got skunked by Georgia in the final, but they've been playing really good baseball.
Oh, come on, just to get to the final in that tournament, man.
They have not lost a series since the middle of April, so they're playing much better than they were with the things that took their RPI down. All that happened 2 months ago.
Florida and Arkansas their form is way stronger. We're live here at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street. That's right, we are open today. We were open yesterday over here for Memorial Day weekend, and so. If you're in town or at the beach, well, if you're in town, you're looking for something. Hey, pool season, a lot of pools, although the sunshine didn't cooperate a whole lot. But we got plenty of salads. We got some grilled chicken and blackened chicken sandwiches that we have over here for lunch. If you want to get the hot and spicy, you got the Nashville extra spicy dipped sandwich that you can kind of create different cheeses, aiolis, and toppings, all kinds of stuff. Burgers as well. They all will come with the hand-cut fries, which I will put up against anyone. There's something about those hand-cut fries over here at Doe's. They're really, really good. So come on by and check us out. Plate lunches like the chicken fried steak, the hamburger steak, or the meatballs and spaghetti are generous portions, to say the least. So completely different lunch menu that's available Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. over here at Doe's Eat Place.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 104.5 ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. Tomorrow we'll be dropping our final Hannycast of the season. That's on YouTube. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Celebrating 90 years in business since, or here in 2026. Supporting our Louisiana farmers. For more information, go to supremerice.com. The SEC Media Days getting underway so far, or today in Destin.
Media Days.
Huh?
He said media.
I'm
day.
sorry. SEC meetings. You're right.
Spring
SEC meetings, spring meetings. Greg Sankey said this morning, that he does not anticipate any decisions on the college football playoff. But, Jimmy, he did admit that he's got coaches. He just reiterated kind of what he said on, I think it was Thursday of last week, that, listen, we are open to going to 24. He says, I'm not an opponent of 24. We have to inform the decision making. This is real simple to me. To go to 24, they want two things. Number one, they want an absolute definite on how they are going to recoup the $100 million that they will lose once the SEC championship game goes away. That's easy enough, okay? That's apples to apples. You can say, well, this playoff contract will do this. Here's your $100 million and however much more. That's the easy part. What he wants to discuss what he wants studied is, how much will this affect the ratings in the regular season? Because the SEC's regular season contract for television, those ratings are phenomenal. Now, it would stand to reason that with more teams in contention for the playoff, the ratings would go up. I just think that that's what he wants some kind of assurance of before they move on with this. But he's cracking to me on the 24. I think he's got enough, it feels like, tell me if you feel differently, he's got enough internal pressure from his coaches and even his presidents. Yeah, we're going to go to this. It'll eventually be more money. You just want this to be assured. You're going to get your championship money back. You're going to get your TV ratings where they need to be. That's the way I took it. It's all about money, right?
Not from the coach's perspective. It's about job security.
Well, that's money, right? I mean,
well,
but yeah.
But I mean, they feel that, you know, more spots. You make it to the, like, was DeBoer a successful season this year?
Anywhere but Alabama, probably.
Well, that's where he's coaching.
Yeah, no, not for
Okay,
them.
I mean, they made it to a playoff. They won a game. Oklahoma, how much we respect Oklahoma? They were kind of mid, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, for their standards, and it got embarrassed. Like, when's the last time they got blown out like that? We just housed. I mean, Indiana's got to take the foot off the gas.
Yeah, before Saban, I can't remember getting beat that bad.
Yeah,
Saban's.
it was. I mean, it's been a long time. I know they lost to Yale Monroe, but I mean, just get blown out like that. It doesn't. We hadn't seen that much.
Can I ask it this way?
I mean, I don't know when's the last time they lost by 30 or more.
I can tell you, Mike Shula was the coach.
Who did they lose to?
Oh, I'd have to go back
30
and
or more.
You may have to go back further than that.
30 or more.
Yeah.
And in the last 50 years, it's maybe happened once or twice, if that.
When LSU won the national championship in 2003, they were 4-9. Maybe that year. Okay.
2003.
2003, they were 4.
We went over there and they beat them about 20.
Yeah, but did somebody else beat them bad? I'll look it up. They were 4-9 that year. They got beat by Hawaii that year. They were bad.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if they lost a game by 30. I don't remember that. But yeah, you're right. Who had a better year last year? Alabama, or Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
And didn't make the playoff.
Right.
Yeah. So this is kind of what you're saying. It's like, hey, listen, I'm 10-2 with Notre Dame's schedule.
Well,
I understand it's not. I
say that at least Alabama beat some people. They did beat what, 4 ranked teams in a row.
Yes.
When they were, that one little
and
start.
won a playoff game. I mean, I get the opponent.
They won a
playoff game.
They got an extension.
Yeah.
Okay, now we could talk about what's going on there. We all think he's fighting for his job this year,
right?
Even though he got to suspend. But it used to be where a coach got a bowl game. Well, you can't fire a guy because that's sort of an accomplishment.
Yes.
Now, if you go to if you make it to the playoff, I mean, that is a little job security.
Yeah, and then for a while, we won 10 games. Well, if you won 10 games, you didn't play anybody. All right. Yeah, it's job security, and it comes back to they want to be able to say that. And if you go to 24, I'm not sure that the bowl games outside of the biggest ones can survive that, because you're not going to have anybody play.
And the athletic directors are scheduling. But if you don't think that head football coach is advising that athletic director who's making it. I mean, so and they just don't. They want to, 7-5 with a weak schedule as opposed to 5-7 playing murderers. No, it's all about job security. Every single coach in the SEC is making more money than they ever have. How can they sustain it? They know unrealistic money comes unrealistic expectations. Figuring out how long can they survive, or at least how long can they, at least like Brian Kelly, get a contract where, okay, even if I get fired 3-4 years in, I'm set.
Don't you think that Lane Kiffin had this conversation with Virgil Osbury and said, listen, I understand we have to play a power conference team out of SEC play. We ain't got to play Clemson. We ain't got to play Ohio State. We can go play Wake Forest.
Ohio State and Clemson are on two different planes these days.
Well, they are now, yes. Yeah. But think about when they scheduled this.
When they scheduled this, but, we were dying for them to play somebody. We were dying for something.
Oh, this is not great for us.
Listen,
we want to see these games.
We like to, especially you like to, crush, trying to defend the season ticket holders. This season ticket holders.
No,
this might be the last of the Mohicans to have this kind of schedule.
But if
Clemson's top 25, top 30.
Yeah. But if they finish with a 9-3 record and they happen to lose to Clemson, you're going to sit there and ask the same question that Texas asked last year, which is why did we play Ohio State? Why didn't we play Texas State? We would be in the playoff now. So it comes with a cost.
I think, though, maintaining that money coming in from the SEC, that what it is. Now that you talk about those ratings, I got to think those are going to decline a little bit because the game is just not as important as it used to be. Even what's it's been the last 2 years and what it might be the next 2, if you keep it, it's just not. Come on, we all know. Watching Georgia and Texas, well, they're both going to the playoffs, so I mean, this is a fun game. It's a high level game. They're playing hard, but we're not fooling ourselves.
All right, but is there more? Okay, fine, Georgia and Texas, but what about Auburn playing Arkansas, and Auburn is sitting there at 7-3, okay, and they play an Arkansas that's 7-3. I'm just using it as an example. Maybe it's an A&M that's 7-3. Those teams that would ordinarily be out of the playoffs by that time play a game in November where they've got 3 losses.
Talking about it's a play-in game?
No, I'm talking about a regular season game.
Regular season.
If they're both 7-3, is there that much more?
No, Charlie, you watch the games, okay? It's college football, and when you have the higher level teams playing each other, we're watching.
Sure.
And listen, don't tell me at those stadiums they don't care. It's like life or death still. Okay,
well,
so
they do.
That still people say, well, you're demeaning, the reducing the regular season. Who cares? We still want to see those games. Okay, there's so many games when we finally have those matchups where we're glued to the TV. I just think that the SEC is different than most of the other ones, and that's a cash cow for them. It was always sold out. Yeah, Ohio State and Indiana had a good one this year, but we've seen some Purdue and Michigans, some Iowa Michigans. We've seen some duds, man. So
I think taking the conference championship games out is an easier play than trying to predict what it's going to do to your regular season ratings. That's a tougher call. Because there are going to be teams that are going to be locked in, but there are going to be other teams that are still playing for playoffs that wouldn't be in a 12 team.
How much is Sankey, the SEC's dip a little bit in their status over the last 3 years? How much is that affecting Sankey? Does he not carry as big of a stick?
I don't know if it affects Sankey as much as it affects Petiti, who had no problem going out there and.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm talking about reducing his power.
Yes, because it's increased Petiti's. Yes.
Yeah. Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title, Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title for all your real estate closings, 296-0060. Our great team, a long-standing staff at Legacy Title that will execute your deal seamlessly. Ashley Donald, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Mariana Haynes, Natalie and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing. Nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. Heading out to Las Vegas, deep in the desert, lives one man. One man of many sports bets. The one and only Andy Iskoe.
Andy Iskoe, after his holiday weekend, as the NBA Finals. I mean, it is. I mean, you got a good competitive one and not so competitive one. Andy, but you got to give the Knicks credit. I mean, they have, when it is a sign of team maturity, when you have a team down, go for the throat. Man, in the closeout games, they've only closed out the 3 series, no matter what the caliber of competition is, where you can really have an exhale spot, that gentleman's sweep and things like that. They've outscored by about 120 points combined. Andy, how you doing?
I am doing fine as a long time Knicks fan, and I should have a long time recently suffering Knicks fan. I'm just ecstatic about what's happening. It's I'm not going to say it came out of nowhere, but I don't know that anyone expected the Knicks to do as well as they did, as they've done so far. Remember last year they made the conference finals, and their best performance in a number of years, and they got rid of Tom Thibodeau and brought in Mike Brown, and I was somewhat a little skeptical of the move. Knicks played well throughout the regular season, and then again, I think it goes back to the Atlanta series when Brown sort of made a decision. You know what? Let's run the offense more through Carl Anthony than they had been doing. And then the Knicks have just been explosive. They are what? They're 12-2, and the 2 losses they have, I believe, were in the Atlanta series, both by 1 point.
So we've got a week and a half to wonder, do the Knicks have a chance, whoever comes out against the West? I've seen some early projections. Let me ask you, Andy, what do you think the series price would be for both Oklahoma City and San Antonio versus the Knicks?
I think Oklahoma City might be the bigger favorite of the 2, but I think the price, the projected price may have come down. I thought that perhaps you might have the Western team favored, perhaps like minus 220. I wouldn't be surprised now if it's closer to like minus 180.
I've seen projected lines. Oklahoma City is minus 270.
Whoa.
Spurs would be minus 260. That close.
But what?
Yeah, that is totally giving no respect to what the Knicks have accomplished. It may be saying that, yes, the East is not nearly as strong as the West, and I think that certainly at the top that is true. But when you have a team that is able to perform the way the Knicks have, after not really showing signs of that domination during the season, sometimes teams just happen to gel at the right time. I have no problem with Spurs or Oklahoma City being favored, but if I'm getting a nice +2 something, no reason I'm not going to play the Knicks.
Interesting. I mean, what do we compare it to? I mean, the college sports. I mean, there's a lot of times when Oregon was in the Pac-12 and they would, have that weak schedule, but they're beating people 55-0, 55-6, and stuff like that. Then, okay, how will they project? Against a smaller conference team. Back in the day, Boise State or whatever. But it's just the East. Nobody's going to try and argue the strength of the conferences, how much stronger the West is. But how can the Knicks? The Knicks can't look any better. I mean, it just can't. So I don't know.
Well, for whatever it's worth, the Knicks did win 2 of the 3 regular season games against San Antonio, even though the first of them doesn't count in the standings. That was that Emirates title game. And they beat them, what was the final score? They beat them by 11, 124-113. They split the, I believe they each won in the regular season at the end of December and then the beginning of March. I believe the road team won both games. Oklahoma City did defeat the Knicks in both meetings. They were actually, they were 4.5-point favorites in the first game. They won by 3, and that was back in early March. In late March, they won at Oklahoma City at home, minus 7.5. They won by 11. So the Knicks were competitive in the 5 games against both of those teams, and they won 2 out of the 5, covered in 4 of the 5.
I mean, Charlie, this is usually a college conversation. If the weighted schedule and can the team step up in class and things like this. I mean, you got to go back to the early days of the AFL and the NFL. With this thing, I mean, when the Jets are getting so many points against the Colts, I'm sure you grew up in the New York area, Andy. You would know that. Talking about some teams that Jets team in hindsight deserved a lot more credit or respect going in. It was maybe not quite the massive upset that they thought, but I mean it's a rare conversation for professional sports.
Yeah, in fact, I remember, I think we've talked about it before, I was at that Super Bowl III game, and I was nothing to do with the points spread or anything. I was just a rabid Jets fan, and I thought, I didn't know that I thought they could win. I thought they could give a good effort. And, again, keep in mind that the AFC, Kansas City, who made the playoffs and beat the Jets in the first round of the playoffs the following season after the Jets Super Bowl. Kansas City went on to win the Super Bowl the following year against Minnesota. So I don't know that you could say it proved that the Jets were no fluke, but I think it proved that at that time, and of course you started to end up having the common draft and all that, but AFL was rating a lot of the college prospects that were headed for the NFL in the late 60s before the merger. So, by that time, the leagues had somewhat caught up, and of course we all remember Cleveland, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh got moved over from the NFL to the AFL when they split into the conferences following the merger. And of course, of those three, Pittsburgh, former NFL team, dominated the decade of the 70s in the Super Bowl.
Talking about lack of respect in your hometown, we don't know a ton. We can't break down the hockey a ton, but I can tell you this: the Golden Knights have been underdogs, substantial underdogs in all three games, and they're up 3-0. I mean, so they're cashing.
And they were down 3-0 in game three.
And, I mean, that was crazy. I was like, is that another goal? That was like Sunday night, I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and it surprised me a great deal because I thought that the ceiling for the Golden Knights would be the second round of the playoffs. And they were a little bit shaky against Anaheim. That series, got extended, and was not a quick series. But this series against Colorado, who's been the best team, at least in my opinion, since the start of the season, and I did like Carolina coming out of the East, but they've shown a little bit of flaws in these first few games against Montreal. So I expect that Colorado would be favored over Montreal or Carolina. I'm not quite sure what Carolina would be if they faced the Golden Knights, but certainly the Golden Knights have been playing their best hockey, and if I recall correctly, they have been the best third-period team all season as far as scoring margin.
All right, well, tonight, Oklahoma City, 5.5-point favorites over the Spurs. The series price now is Oklahoma City minus 180, San Antonio plus 150. Kind of hard to get a handle, a read on this series, right? When you think it looks one way, then it flips to the other way. I mean, who you liking tonight, and do you have a series opinion?
Yeah, it's been my approach to these playoff series is I don't necessarily play every game. I play the spots where I think there are edges as far as we know how good these teams are, how well they match up against each other. We do know, of course, however, the fact that San Antonio ended up in the regular season. I think they won, 4 out of 5 meetings before the series began. So I thought it would be a competitive series simply based upon the season record between the teams and the way that San Antonio and Wemby were playing throughout the early part of the playoffs. I'm not sure that I can do anything pre-game here. These teams, I mentioned that in the regular season there were 4 of the 5 games were decided by double digits and won by 2 points. Well, we had a pair of single-digit games in the first 2 games in OKC, and then a pair of double digits in the 2 games in San Antonio, and each team went 1-1 in both places. So obviously they can both win on the road as well as at home. The spot for me in the series was Game 4 with OKC on the road, needing to even up the series before heading home, which of course the Spurs did. I'm sorry, San Antonio coming off of that loss, and of course San Antonio had that I think it was a 15-0 start. So it's a game that I'm probably going to look for Oklahoma City to win. Don't feel like laying the points, but might get an opportunity. Again, when San Antonio goes into a spurt and maybe gets a little bit of a lead, at that point, I might even be able to get OKC on the money line, although I would doubt it unless it was like a 10-point game. But look, 10-point games, by the middle of the third quarter don't mean anything anymore necessarily. But certainly I would look for an opportunity to play Oklahoma City at a smaller line than the pregame line.
All right, follow Andy on Twitter at VegasAndy711. Great stuff as always, Andy. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a great week, guys. Always fun. Take care.
Charlie, speaking of Major League Baseball, the Paul Skeens is now not the favorite right now. It's been the first time in for most of the start of this season. He's third choice now behind Chris Sanchez, who now he extended his scoreless inning streak. It's like 28. We talk about like the 40-1 strikeout to walk ratio with this thing. And then Mizorowski, who took a no-hitter into the sixth inning yesterday against, who did they play in yesterday? Help me out. So, I think 13, 14 strikeouts last night.
He threw 57 pitches over 100 miles an hour, which is a record.
No, that's for the whole.
That was for the game.
Oh, that was for Major League Baseball, period.
It was 57 out of 100 and however many pitches he
that's
threw.
just him?
Yeah.
I thought that was in Major League Baseball the entire day.
Let me make sure I got this right. Mizorowski hit hit over 100 57 times in. Trying to see how many pitches he threw. It was right over 100. That's by 10, the most. He got up to 103 3 different times. So yeah, it was
57 pitches over 100.
Yeah, it's by 10. It's the most ever in a game. I'll tell you how many pitches he threw.
Okay, so his K rate.
He threw
his K rate is on pace. Now it's a long season, okay, but his K rate is on pace to be the best ever in the history of the sport.
Geez, he only threw 96 pitches. 57 out of 96. He threw over 100.
He likes Memorial Day stage, huh?
Oh my goodness!
I thought I was kind of half asleep. I was listening to radio or something. I said, "Well, that's high for I thought that was for the whole league yesterday."
No, that was just him. Skeens' ERA is up at 3 now. It was a rough outing against Toronto on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so that's, what is that? That's 2 tough outings in a row after that long streak where he didn't walk anybody for, 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, Libby Dunn needs a little soap in her mouth. So, I mean, we need to wash her mouth out, after but then he settled down. They finally score a run. It's 1-1, and then he gives like 4 straight hits.
Yeah,
I was like the 6th inning.
It was the
6 or 7.
The Phillies hit him before that. So the last 2 outings, he has been hit almost a run an inning in the last 2.
Phillies hitting
5 runs in 5 innings.
Okay, because he had one against St. Louis earlier. So yeah, he's dipped to 3rd. So Chris Sanchez is the favorite right now at 2-1. Mizorowski at 3 plus 370. Skeens is at plus $4.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And return here at Doe's live at lunch. The SEC meetings going on down in Destin. Steve Sarkisian out saying he was not punished by the SEC under its sportsmanship policy for his comments about Ole Miss. Remember the basket waving comments from last week? Guess what he said today?
He should have been reprimanded.
He was taken out of context. My favorite excuse. I was taken out of context. I wonder if the Texas Tech stuff was taken out of context. Huh? Yeah. His unsolicited comments about the academics at Ole Miss. Still to be determined is there is at least some talk that Lane Kiffin may be reprimanded for his comments about Ole Miss. Kiffin's already come out and said, listen, I didn't say this was my opinion. I said that this was what parents and grandparents had said to me. I don't know how you people are twisting my word. So we're going to go through this whole deal again this week. He kind of knew that once everybody got together, this was going to be a story. So we'll see if Kiffin has anything to report on that. But Sark is not going to be reprimanded. You're going to sleep better tonight.
You're going to reprimand Kiffin and not Sarkisian?
I don't think. I don't think you can.
What kind of sense does that make?
I'm trying to think of reprimands in the past. Didn't Kiffin get reprimanded when he made the gas station when he was at Tennessee? The gas station comment.
I don't think so.
No,
to the wide receiver. What was his name? Went to the Bears. Really good.
Yeah.
Really good player.
I'll think of it in a second. But I thought that they had maybe it was Slive just said, look, privately,
I mean,
you guys
a
knock it
reprimand
off.
is not- I mean, what is it? Don't do that.
Don't do
we
that
don't
again.
like that. I mean, I mean, what's it? I guess if he was, it was a slap on the wrist.
So-
Played nicely. So
I would imagine that's the biggest thing that's going to come out.
was it?
You guys all play last night.
How long ago was it that Sankey was trying to say, "Oh no, you're not going. You don't want to steal another coach from our conference. You're going to be held to pay for that." How long ago was that?
Tuberville? Was it that long ago?
No, Sankey wasn't around when Tuberville.
No, it was live. It was
No,
live.
but you said a few years ago, they can't go get a coach from there because it's
frowned upon, which nobody cared about.
That's what I'm saying. Don't tell me how to run my. I mean,
Does Mike Elko get the honesty award? They asked him about the college football players. He says, "What you asking us for?" He goes, "You want to know for my thing?" He goes, "I'm going to answer in my best interest. Make it 40 teams, so I can go back and say I make the playoffs every year."
Yes.
Yeah,
Because
what are you asking me for?
I gotta believe if you make that playoff, it helps a little bit your job security.
Absolutely.
It's not fun. There was once a time you make a bowl, you're not getting fired. And we saw coaches still get fired when they made a bowl when they lowered their standards. I'm saying it can still happen, but I still think it helps the coaches.
First class, second class, no class coming up when we return to Doze Eat Plays 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch, first class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
No man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
Life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, and no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
And we return here at Doze Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City. First class, second class, and no class. All right, let's start our first class. Double congratulations to our friend Will Davis, former LSU baseball player and coach. The first congratulations goes that Lamar made the NCAA tournament yesterday, the first time that they've made it in Davis's tenure. Lamar was 34-25 this year. They were 19-11 in the Southland, and they won that tournament. So they are going to the NCAAs. The bigger, I think, congratulation is that, according to Kendall Rogers and others, Will Davis is going to be named the new head coach at the University of Houston as soon as Lamar's season is over. Davis got off to a little bit of a rocky start at Lamar, but the last 4 years they have finished with third, first, third, and second in the regular season, and he's 69-39 in conference play. His overall winning percentage at Lamar was .556, so he kind of built it. They spent a year. I had forgotten this, Jimmy. I don't know if you remember this. They've been in the Southland forever, but they spent a year in the WAC. You remember that in 2022? They went to the WAC for 1 year. I don't remember why, but anyway, they jumped back into the Southland, and they've been there the last 4 years. He's done a really good job. Houston, for a long time, was a really, really good program. They made 10 NCAA tournaments from 2000 to 2018. Part of that was Rainer Noble. Part of that was Todd Whitting. But, man, and when they went to the American Conference, they made the tournament 4 out of 9 years. But, man, since they have been in the Big 12, they have been stuck in neutral. 26-61 in conference play since they joined the Big 12 3 years ago, and they haven't finished higher than 11th. So that's a team, that's a program that's got a history of some success, but not since they got into the Big 12. And so good luck to Will. You know, I got to know him really well when he was on the LSU staff here when I was on the crew.
Oh, me too. Yeah,
and
he does his homework. He's a classy guy. He's a respectful guy, and he's got over the hump, man, and good for him. I mean, that has a chance. Houston has a chance.
Yeah.
So many kids in Texas playing baseball.
Right.
So many kids, and so he's going to a place where he can compete.
Just in the city of Houston, and the Rice program has fallen on hard times since Wayne Graham passed, and that program is not anywhere near what it was in its heyday. I mean, city, Houston,
Yeah.
4 million people. I mean, there's a ton of talent there. So, good luck to him. We wish him the best. And also wanted Taylor Riley, LSU golfer, finished tied for 30th at the NCAA championship. She finishes her LSU career. She's the 13th golfer to compete in the NCAA's 3 times. Think about this: she had to make a par putt to get into the championship, and darkness suspended play. She had to think about this 10-footer all night, and she came out and drained it. So she gets into the NCAA championship. She finished 30th out of 156. So good for her. Good career for Taylor Riley.
I got one.
Go ahead.
So Big Ten semifinals. It was a 4-3 lead for UCLA going into the 9th inning, something like 45-0. UCLA after 8 innings. Give up a walk, give up a bunt single, move them over, and USC plays a little small ball, and they take the lead, 5-4. Go into the bottom of the 9th inning. So UCLA's last chance here, get a couple of runners on, but then Chalowski, who was the number 1 pick, who was 0 for 5 that day, he just pops up to the first baseman in foul territory, so it looked like they dodged a big bullet. The net first pitch to Malavai Levu. Charlie, it was inside. He's a left-handed hitter, and he kind of brought his hands in and still hit it out to right center about 12 rows deep. I mean, a bomb in that park. They interview him after. They're going crazy. It's a walk-off 3-run homer with 2 outs in the 9th inning. You know, USC, UCLA. The reporter says, well, how's it feel to knock out rival USC? Oh, no. That's our guys. We all know those guys. A bunch of great guys, and that's a real quality team.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
That's professional. Kind of like it was a similar type of tone in Gainesville for the softball regional at the end, huh?
Yes. When they did not even... What, they didn't shake hands, obviously.
No, they didn't shake hands. Refused to shake hands.
No, it was very, very ugly scene. Ugly scene. I didn't hear this comment. I'm glad you brought that up, man.
Well, I mean, so they all probably played travel ball together or against each other and cross. You know, I mean,
sure.
And so, but it was just, but he's like, oh no. Like, no, those are great guys. Isn't that cool?
I'm speechless. I really am. You just don't hear that very much anymore. By the way, first class, Mississippi State knocking out Oklahoma softball.
That was
first time in 10 years they haven't made the World Series.
So we see the Wild game in Game 1, and in Oklahoma, didn't they beat them like 8-0, 10-0?
6 or 7-0.
Yeah. So
game,
okay, here we go.
Right,
bam. Yeah.
First time they've been shut out in 7 or 8 years.
I would say that, and that's
in their park.
That was abnormal. Watching kind of secondarily, man, isn't it so much better that they're scoring some runs in these softball games? I mean, they're scoring so many more runs. It was just 1-0 after game after 1-0. It's I don't know what's going on in softball, but it's much more entertaining.
Second class, good with a chance to be great. Congratulations for Gage Jump, former LSU pitcher, getting called up from AAA Las Vegas to the Athletics. He'll be playing in Las Vegas before too much longer. He had a great start, had 56 strikeouts in 38 innings, ranked number 42 in the preseason rankings of MLB prospects. The A's are on top of the AL West. They're just 500, but they're on top of the AL West. Their pitching staff is in the bottom thirds in the majors in strikeout rate. He should certainly help with that. So good for him. He overcame that injury after he left UCLA, came to LSU, got off to a slow start, but finished really strong. And the A's gave him way over slot, the 73rd pick, because they liked him that much. And he is going up to the bigs, so congratulations to Gage Jump. Good with a chance to be great. And now no class. Jimmy, we have some debates. I think we're both on the same page when it comes to what some people consider a dirty word. Analytics. Analytics, fancy word for stats and trends and things like that. But analytics has become a little bit of a dirty word when we have seen coaches, managers, basically put it on autopilot and let the analytics book take control of this thing and not pay attention to the game. And then we have Kenny Atkinson, the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who came out after Game 3 and says, analytically, we've won 2 out of these 3 games. This was on the heels of, I want to keep my timeouts while my team squanders this gigantic lead in game number 1. I'll give Atkinson credit for one thing. He's convinced his players. James Harden came out after the game last night and said, we had the better team. Really? Could have fooled me. You lost by an average of 19 points and you got swept.
Lost by an average of 19 points and swept.
But we won the analytics game, okay?
He thinks he's well-groomed also.
I mean, if you were the owner, okay, if you're Dan Gilbert, what do you think? And look, there was a time when I wanted Kenny Atkinson to be the head coach of the Pelicans. When he was leaving Brooklyn, I'm like, hey, look, man, I'll take that guy. And now I'm like, listen, if you want to get in with your staff and you want to say, listen, what we're teaching is what we want, privately, you say, it just didn't work out our way, but we want to keep doing this. We need to get better at it. We need to improve it. That's one thing. You want to tell your players, this is what we're striving for, but we need to get better. But you can't say that publicly. You just look like a fool when you come out. What was when Butch Jones came out and said, well, we lost the game, but we're champions of life. Well, good for you. Okay? We lost the games. We got swept. And by the way, I don't know how you felt about last night's game. I thought they quit. I mean, how many breakaway, just jack up a 3, breakaway layups the other way. I mean, they just flat out. It looked, at times, I swear, and then by the second half, I'm only kind of watching. It looked like a preseason game.
It was tough to watch.
It looked like a preseason game. It's like, oh, well, we don't care,
Yeah.
Watching a game in some, nondescript arena that is hosting an NBA preseason game. So you're going to say, after you get routed, your team quits, one of your star players says, well, I thought we were the better team. Okay, guys, whatever you say, but you just got run out of the gym in all but 3/4.
Doesn't matter
of
what
series.
they say, what they did. I mean, they got housed. I mean,
So if you're the owner, do you say, okay, this is my guy. I don't know if I can run. I mean, you made the conference finals. That is, by any definition, a good year in the NBA.
I mean, it's 4 teams. You're playing longer than 26 others.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say that maybe, but I mean, they were just not competitive. And rest versus rust. In hindsight, and I'm slow to warm up to the Knicks. I know because I think Draymond Green of all people made the comment that stuck with me the most. And talking about Karl Anthony Towns is not just making these stupid fouls 30 feet from the basket and then hollering to the ref. Like, he's a smarter player now. He is. He's attacking the rim. He still can bring it outside and knock down that 3 as well, but he's using his size to his advantage. He's a great free throw shooter. He's playing smarter. I know it's hard for us to kind of forget where he's played not so smart for such a longer period of time, but they're more seasoned, and it's hard to real. But man, it is a classic case against them. Listen, Sixers and the Hawks are not making anybody believe that that's exactly a tough path. Cleveland, the way to beat them. But Charlie, we look back in the first 40 minutes of Game 1. The only time you had success in a series was the team was shaking off 9 days of rust. Because after the rust is gone, it has been a whitewash.
And I gotta ask this question, and we're both guilty here. Neither one of us liked the Tom Thibodeau firing last year.
No.
Dolan, who we don't like as an owner and has made countless mistakes, said, you know what, we thought we'd gone as far as we could with them. And the last 2 years, the Knicks have lost a 7-game series to the Pacers, and you can make the case they ran out of gas. The big knock on Thibodeau was ran his starters into the ground a little bit too much in the regular season, and they were not fresh enough for the playoffs. Lost 2 7-game series. Last year in the conference finals. This year, they're on the biggest roll. This is the biggest margin of victory over this 11 games that has ever happened in the NBA. Not just in the playoffs, in the regular season. I mean, when you think about some of the dominant teams, Lakers, Celtics, Warriors, whoever, never had a stretch like what these Knicks are doing right now. You got to say, hey, listen, I'm not wild about Dolan, but maybe he was right in this case.
And I mean, the rotation has allowed them to go. They can beat you from a bunch of different ways. You know, Bridges, I know the defense has a lot to do with it, but he's playing. I mean, they got a lot of guys that can get hot for them. I mean, Game 2 was the right move by Atkinson. Yeah, let Hart beat me from the perimeter, please.
Yeah.
They beat him. I mean, just say it like that. But I mean, it's not just this Brunson by himself dribbling it down. Their ball movement, like you said, you recognized this earlier than me. You're talking about their ball movement and their flow. It's just their chemistry. And it's a team that the Celtics were so banged up. Tatum's out for how many games, and they couldn't win the division.
Yeah.
Charlie, Adam Silver, he's got a chance. He's got a chance for a rematch of the NBA Cup. Revenge on the minds of the Knicks and on the Spurs. Revenge factor is going to favor the Spurs. Huh? And the Knicks beat them in the final.
That is our angle, right?
Huh?
The NBA Cup.
I mean, the most laughable thing, the most manufactured thing.
I guess it worked. And Landry Shamet may never miss a shot again. That's the other thing.
But those guys, Shaman is capable.
Fresh legs?
Yes.
I got to ask.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. I mean, look. My boy always mets up his name for the Thunder, but his bench. I mean, those guys are playing with confidence when they come in. They're not hesitating. So that's part of, and that is a big difference from Thibodeau to Brown. You got to admit, they forced him to play a bench more, to not wear out his guys. Although you still can't take away Thibodeau did some really good things. Does he wear on guys or whatever? We get it. When there's so many times when the players run the front office and make dumb moves. This might be where they made maybe the right move, forcing him out. So we'll see.
I got to give.
If they're not competitive versus the Thunder or Spurs, how this run's going to look. It's going to look much lighter, and it won't respect it as much, no matter how bad they're beating this weaker competition.
I got to give Dolan credit twice in one show. He said, "Listen, Tom Thibodeau helped build this." So he gave him a little bit of credit after the game last night. So
it's been downhill since he put out the sphere.
The Wizard of Oz is playing at the Sphere right now. There's friends out there. So pretty cool show. First class, second class, no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Supporting our Louisiana farmers. This is 90 years in business for Supreme Rice here in 2026. So whether you're getting the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, the jasmine, the parboiled rice, the low glycemic rice for diabetics, make it Supreme Rice. You're going to save some money. You're going to do a great service to these Louisiana farmers. They're part of the Climate Smart program, reducing methane emissions, promoting water conservation. You can pick up Supreme Rice anywhere you buy rice, your AG food stores, Rouse's, your Walmart, anywhere you buy rice, and you're going to save some money. So make it Supreme Rice. And it's never too early to start thinking about tailgating. You're putting your tailgates together this fall. Make it with Supreme Rice. For more information, great recipes, go to supremerice.com. Live at Doe's, live at Lunch 104.5, ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And we're also brought to you by the Thibodeau Store, the Pierre Part Store. It's open in La Rose and Lockport. You're doing construction on your property this summer. Get your lumber delivered from the locations in Pierre Part and in Lockport. Get some expert advice as well, because the experts at the Thibodeau Store are going to help you out. Comes to saving time and money. They're going to be able to point you in the right direction so you're not buying supplies you don't need or using techniques that are going to cost you a lot of money. You're working in your yard, so many different lawn and garden tools that are available right now. Fertilizer programs, the Scott 4-step programs are available for you right now. Grilling season, we still got grills available, a huge selection of grills as we pass Memorial Day, but we're going to be grilling all summer. Make it at the Thibodeau Store. Outdoor cooking equipment, cordless power tools, outdoor power equipment, patio and poolside furniture available. Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau, and on Highway 70 in Pierre Part. Okay, Jimmy, I follow Phil Steele on Twitter, and he's talking about how much earlier his work was done as far as prepping for the season because of no spring transfer portal. The rosters are set a lot sooner. You get the work done, get the magazines and press. Athlons must have the same deal because they are out now. And you have seen this. I have not.
Well, I've seen the rankings.
The rankings, okay. So this is the top 20, or this is how they've got up seated in the SEC?
Top 25 nationally.
Top 25. All right.
And I mean, I got some. I would differ on a few things. And
okay. So what would you like me? Because I have not seen this. So you tell me.
You said you think LSU is going to be around 12.
I think LSU will be 12. Yeah.
Max guessed LSU 9. LSU is 10.
Okay.
10. 11. Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, number 1.
Texas.
Ohio State.
Okay.
They have Georgia 2. I think Texas will be ahead of Georgia.
Okay.
Most of them. I think Notre Dame will be ahead of Georgia on them. So they got a little bit higher. On you will not get the. Give me the rest of the top 10. So they give you Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, Notre Dame, and LSU. The other 5. There's one you're not going to get.
Okay.
I think. Max, go chime in.
Well, let me Indiana.
Indiana is 5.
Did you say Oregon?
No, Oregon's an easy one. Yeah, they're
okay.
6. Yes,
okay.
That's 2 of the 5.
I got to take Texas Tech out of this equation now with the Sorsby thing. I would have had them in there if he was in there because I think they would have won the Big 12. They've been heavily favored.
They're
to win
going
the Big
to
12.
win the Big 12 regardless.
Okay,
Charlie. They're going to be double-digit favorites in every game.
Really? Okay. I hadn't done that. Wow. Okay, I hadn't done that deep of a dive.
They're 12, by the way.
Okay. You got me intrigued now with that. Is Miami in that top 10? They are in the top 10? Okay.
So 2 more.
Everything I've seen says Alabama's going to be outside the top 10, so I won't say them.
15.
Okay. Then I'm going to take a shot with
Max, you got no guesses?
BYU?
No. But they have them 16.
Okay.
I've lost track of where we are a little bit. Is A&M up there?
That's one. Okay. And so the one y'all haven't got was my predicted one that you won't, so I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Oklahoma 8. Huh?
They returned the quarterback. Hopefully he's healthy this year.
Can't call illegal plays to beat Auburn. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. Mateer, did he really progress as a passer? He just – he's gonna have to show me. I just doesn't see anything there, and I don't know. I think that
he got beat up a good bit, and they lost a center. I want to say with 2-3 games to go in the season, and they had to juggle the interior of that offensive line. It seemed like this is just what I'm trying to remember. He got beat up a little bit, like physically. He got, he really took some shots.
That's part
there.
because
he's a physical guy.
Well, he runs too much.
Well, that's what I meant.
I mean, he takes too many hits.
Yeah,
so,
but they also had some offensive line issues at the end of the season.
Well, Alabama had offensive line issues the whole time. LSU did as well. I mean, they just
but it was because LSU's offensive line was
some of their
good,
wins were just some of their wins.
I mean,
they got housed by Alabama at home in the game, the playoff game. I thought their win was a very lucky one in Tuscaloosa during the regular season. You had that long pick 6, I thought they won with blinders a little bit this year. That's just me. It was the last one y'all guessed, so we're on the same page there. How about Willie Fritz in Utah? I mean, Houston, number 19. How about that? How about what he took over? What's that?
I was going to put them, they're at least top 25 for sure with what
that's how good is this guy? But what did we when they were hired? He's too old, huh? Well,
He is a good coach. He was a good coach when he was at Georgia Southern. He's a good coach when he was at Tulane. He's a good coach where he is now. Can I ask about the big name brands that are going to all be out of the top 10? And you already gave me Alabama, but where they got Michigan?
13.
Okay, that's higher than I thought. And where they got USC?
14.
Okay, also higher than I thought. And I'm going to throw Florida in there.
Not ranked.
Yeah.
Not in the top 25.
New coach, new quarterback. That's not a huge surprise. And then Florida State was the last one.
Not ranked.
Okay. Well, none of that's so egregious that I'm going to beat pound the podium over it. But
no. BYU is a 16. Washington 17. They got their quarterback back, and the coach has done a good job there. Penn State 18 after James Franklin. So with Campbell
new
coming
coach,
over.
That's how many players did they take from Iowa State? I think it was
from Iowa State.
Yeah, did he brought with him?
I'm sure he did.
I think it was
Every
like 40.
coach does.
It was a lot though. It was even more.
How many
than
did Kiffin wind up bringing from Ole Miss?
4.
That's it.
I think.
I was high on that one.
Yeah,
I thought it was.
I mean, it was lower than we all thought it would be, about double digits, about 10 or 12.
Yeah.
And Ole Miss upped the ante on a couple of those kids, especially the kicker.
Tennessee 21, SMU 22. Is that quarterback back for SMU?
Kevin Jennings?
Yeah.
He wasn't drafted.
I don't think so, huh? I mean, is he back? I can't remember.
Looks like he's on the 2026 roster.
Louisville at 23. Boise State 24. Iowa 25.
Kevin Jennings still at SMU.
He's still there. I mean, he's supposedly had a little injury. I tell you what, he was really good in that Miami win. Really good. So he's capable. Kind of had that. They had their bounce year. Keep in mind that they had a favorable schedule. The year they went to the playoff, a very favorable. They didn't play the top 3 teams.
Right.
Didn't play Clemson. Didn't play Miami. Didn't play, of course, Notre Dame, part of their ACC schedule. So they didn't play any of them. And then they did go and they lost the ACC championship game to Clemson. They still let them in, but kind of a bounce. But he's a guy that, man, when he's gone, he's a dual threat, and he can beat you.
You mentioned Boise State. Maddox Matson returns at quarterback, but I've heard some big things already out of their running back, Dylan Riley. They're already talking him up as like he's very close to Ashton Genty in terms of what they expect out of him. He had over 1,000 yards rushing last year. Hard to live up to Genty's Heisman, contending season, but they're already talking him up like
I just don't see the level. It's not what it used to be. They're just not. It's hard for Boise State to keep pace like they did. And that was a special run. They were as good as anybody for that little 3-4 year run, man. As good as anybody could play with. But it's just, I mean, you're going to tell me they're going to be better than some of the teams and, like Florida.
USC.
No, they have them. No, USC is ranked ahead of them. Okay. Florida is not.
Okay, Florida State.
Florida State, I mean, is Belichick, going to be better? And Chapel Hill, I mean, I don't know. So,
where do you have Clemson?
Unranked.
Unranked. Okay, well,
unranked.
We'll know this stuff by heart by the time they kick it off, because just like Kid Rock says, we're going to do this all summer long.
Yeah, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com for your homeowners association requires wood windows like mine. You got to go and check out our friends at Relief Windows. The wooden windows combine the real wood with high-tech energy efficiency features for all climate zones. They're built with RLS wood. Gel Wind wood frame windows come with a 20-year general warranty and a lifetime limited warranty against rot and termites. So to handle these extreme South Louisiana weather conditions, you got to love, unlike most wood where it's treated just on the surface, the RLS Gel Wind wood windows are treated straight through to the core, offering unparalleled protection against rot, water saturation, termites. Come with a warranty as well, a 20-year general warranty and lifetime limited warranty against rot and termites. Do like I did when my real windows, the ordinary wood windows kind of rotted away. After about 6, 8, 10 years, call Relief Windows and do it right the first time. 288-8138, 288-8138, and ReliefWindows.com.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, let's talk to Ace Seminara again. Another good week. It's rolling, especially in Major League Baseball. 13-5 now, Ace. Thanks for coming on today. And you're looking at a Major League game. And the game that yesterday, and well, there's the Royals, 3 outs away, but could not close the deal. Yankees come off the mat and beat them, and they have just owned them in this little series now. 12 in a row for the Yankees. But a hefty line, but you're willing to lay the run line here on the road at Kauffman Stadium.
Good, Jimmy. Great to be on with all you guys and your listeners there. Just want to offer everybody, before I jump into that game, an opportunity to get on board my free pick service. As you know, I'm on the show there on Tuesdays and Fridays. For those other 5 days a week, if you're looking for help, just text the word free picks to 631-805-6165. You'll receive my top-rated free pick every single day. No questions asked. No pressure. Punch it into your phone. Save it, 631-805-6165. You just text the word free picks. You'll get my top-rated picks, 631-805-6165. Yeah, as you mentioned, Jimmy, that spread right now up to 205 was yesterday. Now it's even higher. Flittler, as you know, been on the show a couple of times, and I just love the makeup of the guy. You know, he's absolutely a number one pitcher, a horse this stage early in his career. You know, 6-2 on the season, leading the majors with a 1.50 ERA, 0.68 WHIP. You know, but 182 is what batters are batting against them. I mean, you just don't make solid contact against the guy. He was angry at himself for only going 6 innings as last outing. It's the kind of guy that's motivated the way you know he's going to want to really stick at the Royals again. And as you said, 12 straight wins against Kansas City. They just own this team. You know, they're just not doing very well. You know, their 3 best hitters, Rhett, Perez, future Hall of Famer, and Michael Garcia, 0-8 earlier in this season against Cam Schlittler early in the season against the Yankees. You know, Bailey Falter, he's really a starter, but they're throwing him in one of those quick starters. He's 0-1 for his career in 2 career starts against the Yankees in the ERA of 14. An ungodly ERA. I wouldn't even be good in a softball game. I mean, for his starter right now, 0-1, 9.82 on the season, giving up almost 3 walks per hits per inning. And that's not sustainable, especially against the Yankees lineup. Bellinger's been hot as could be. Volpe had a huge hit last night in the 9th inning. Judge with that big 2-out home run to snap his homer streak the other day. You know, I like the Yankees to win the game, and why not lay that 1.5 minus 1.25? Get on the Yankees. They're 33-22. KC the exact opposite, 22-32, 3-7 in their last 10 games. Just not pitching, not hitting the ball very well. Falter probably going to live up to his name. So get on the Yankees with Schlittler, lay that 1.5 minus $1.25, and see if we can keep that hot run in baseball going on there. As you mentioned, 13-5 on the Major League Baseball on-air baseball picks.
Yeah, the Royals have been one of the disappointments right now, and it's with their lineup right now. They're bottom 5 in runs scored in Major League Baseball this year. All right, we got a big one, a big Game 5 tonight, all even in the Western Conference Finals of the NBA. And I go back to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City now is a look. It's 4.5, the line. But I'm looking at alt line, which you're looking at. This is available at the Queen and Bally's here locally, the DraftKings outlet. Plus 6.5 is you're laying minus 145 juice. So a lot of these games have, you know, the spread is not coming to play very closely. A lot of blowouts. What you got cooking here, Ace, with buying this number to 6.5?
I think when you get to a Game 5, and everybody knows, right, 82% of the winners of Game 5 go on to win the series. So an enormous matchup. Got to go break down right back to Game 1. Wembanyama, historical game. Upset in Oklahoma City. Nobody expected it. Game 2, everybody expected SGA to bounce back. The bench was the story with the 50-some-odd points. In Game 3, they outdid themselves on their own 76 bench points. Well, that couldn't happen again, right? San Antonio came out. They got supposedly a great pep talk from Popovich, the old great San Antonio ex-coach. He told them to basically stop pussyfooting around, get in these guys' shorts, and start playing aggressively. And that's exactly what they did. They were taking it to the hole. I'll admit, I had OKC in Game 4. I knew I was kind of dead in that game about halfway through. You could just tell the way San Antonio was playing. They were absolutely more aggressive. You know, they held OKC to 82 points in that game. The turnover problem, all of a sudden that went away. The injury issue that was affecting San Antonio early in the series, now that seems to be affecting OKC. SGA right now, a one-man show, not really too much anybody else showing up for him. Williams, again, questionable. They're saying he might play tonight. I think that's just a bunch of hogwash. Mitchell out again. They had 17 turnovers in Game 4. So the turnovers are now rearing their ugly head with AKC, while that was the main issue with San Antonio in Games 3 and 4. I really think that now their strategy of just staying at home on the shooters. Don't leave these guys off the bench wide open. They're putting up 76 points in Game 3. Half of those shots were literally standing alone set shots. That's it. They can't allow that anymore. I love the way Wemby's playing, obviously ultra-aggressive. Fox now getting stronger and stronger by every game. Harper doesn't look like he's injured at all anymore. He's ultra-aggressive. Castle not having to be the primary ball handler now. Vassell, what a heck of a job he's doing, and that guy's a pain in the neck on defense. He'll guard you from the time you get off the bus. Johnson, a young guy as well, doing his job. Didn't hit any threes last game. I expect him to hit some tonight. I like San Antonio getting 6.5 points. And as you mentioned, Jameen, hasn't been any close games. I expect this one to be one of those kind of games. And I wouldn't be shocked to have this be, a last possession game. With that reason, give me the 6.5. That extra hook over those two possessions, give me the Spurs plus 6.5 in an ultra-competitive Game 5, the way I'm looking at it.
Charlie, from a San Antonio perspective as well, encouraging that Fox was able to play 30 minutes in Game 4 as well.
Well, Harper and Fox, the turnovers came down. The turnover, I think it was 12 turnovers as opposed to when Castle was the primary ball handler. The turnovers skyrocketed.
Yeah, they got down to 12.
Yeah.
Last game. Yeah, he's a great player. He's not a point guard.
Right. It's not his deal.
So, Ace, explain how that works. But people text you free picks at 631-805-6165, and you guys work out a deal to get your services and picks on a regular basis.
Free picks, no questions asked. They don't have to talk to anybody. They check out the free picks for a handful of days. You like what you see? Sure, I'm going to give you an option to get a hold of me. We're in business to make money, and I've got a lot of happy clients doing very well throughout basketball, baseball as well. As you know, we already hit the 2 golf majors on the top 5. Already got a golfer that I'm eyeing right now. All right, I'm waiting for a lot of places to put up the odds. There's only one place so far I've seen the odds on the gentleman. But we're going to wait a couple more weeks. I will let you know. There will be somebody at Shinnecock out there for the U.S. Open Father's Day weekend that we're going to make a nice score on as well. So, yeah, just stick with me. Text the word free picks. It's so simple. 631-805-6165. You don't need to speak to anybody. You just text the word free picks to 631-805-6165, and you will get my winners. That's all there is to it. Get on board.
All right. We appreciate it, Ace. Thanks, man. Good luck to you. We'll talk to you on Friday.
You got it, Jimmy. Best of luck, boys. Speak to you on Friday.
All right.
Did you hear the screaming yesterday afternoon?
What?
It was Max and Scott Rabelais screaming at the golf. 30 under to win the tournament.
I mean, they're complaining
screaming in agony.
One week the course is too hard. The next week it's too easy. Man, they're all playing the same damn course.
Looking for Goldilocks. It's just right.
So what is Scott and I like hard golf. We're consistent on that. We like it to play difficult. There's more bogeys, more doubles.
You were critical of the week before.
Not entirely. I thought it was better than the normal events. I thought it was a good major test.
You said you thought it was a putting. It became a putting contest on
slightly when they trick it out.
Oh, you didn't use that word slightly last week.
So much of it is
failed to incorporate that little term. That word slightly
is equipment. So much of this is equipment. They cannot contain. They've got to gimmick it out to contain where the pro game's gone. It's just gotten too easy for these guys.
Well, Spieth should have shot 45 under.
He was so happy when we left the show on Friday. Spieth was in first place.
Well, look, he had a good final round.
There's Massaro early calling him.
Yeah, I'm not going to blame Massaro, but that didn't help.
Let's please blame him. Come on.
Another top 20 though. He's consistent.
Can I get a serious question in here? They ran the head of the PGA of America out today. Okay, how is it that this guy gets run out? And I know why he got run out because of how he handled the Ryder Cup stuff.
Well,
how is Jay Monahan still employed?
Jay Monahan? No, I think he's done. I think he's officially done.
Wait. Jay Monahan's replacement has been run off?
No. This is the PGA of America. This is who runs the PGA Championship and the Ryder Cup and all of the PGA professionals that look.
Heads are rolling on that Ryder Cup embarrassment at home.
Well, Don Rea was also.
They're killing poor Captain America. Like Keegan Bradley hit one bad shot. Don Rea
was a little too outspoken. It was more than the Ryder Cup comments where he kind of brushed off how toxic the New York crowd was. He loved the microphone. Let's just put it that way. He loved himself. He was at a PGA Championship last year. He was singing karaoke for some reason. It was a little too big for the job, I would say. So. Yeah, he got run out, but the Ryder Cup was one of those.
He screwed up. I got no problem with that. I want to know how Monahan still got a job after he tried to sell out his entire.
I thought they replaced him.
No, he's still there.
Wait a minute.
He is the current commissioner of the PGA Tour. Am I missing something?
End of his contract in 2026.
Okay, so they're going to get him out.
End of his contract in when 2026?
The end of 2026.
Okay.
This is, Brian Roloff's the CEO. I guess he's officially the commissioner, but he's just there. He's not really doing anything.
Oh yeah, the guy that made the deal with Liv and didn't tell anybody about it. That guy.
Yes.
He still got a job.
Yes, he's
okay.
Sort of. He's a lame duck.
Still get a check.
There. I guess so. Yeah.
Ask Roy McIlroy how he feels about him.
Seems unnecessary.
I'm just saying. They fired the other guy. I'm sure it's not the same. It's the same people fire the commissioners.
PGA of America is different than the
Wyndham
PGA
Clark,
Tour,
who came in, we talk about, was it Oakmont, whatever, in Pennsylvania, where he trashed the locker room, and that's what everybody wants to
Clark at Oakmont,
everybody wants to talk about, things like that. I have a friend who plays regularly down at the Pro-Am, and this is before he won his PGA, but he went on and on how nice of a guy he was. And he has some reference that he could pick because he played with other professional golfers. So anyway, they did him, and he's like, you caught him saying, one of his buddies, all right, congratulations, like, about time, kind of. So he thinks he's shown that he can really, I don't care what the score was yesterday. He was on fire, too.
No, I mean, he was around 60. He played outstanding. He's a former U.S. Open champion. He's returning to form a little bit. But this is a driver-heavy
lowest final round for a winner?
No, they've had a 59 actually win. In the final round.
What was that stat?
It probably tied.
Tied for lowest
final round to win.
Lowest final round to win. Okay.
30 under par. 30 under par.
Good a break, Charlie.
All right, thanks. We will come back here, wrap things up here live at Doe's Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And return here at Doe's Eat Place. Can't say this is a huge surprise, but it is official now. Alan Graves telling it's NBA Draft Express that he will be staying in the NBA draft. This is a player, obviously from Louisiana, that has been rumored if he was going to stay in college, but he was at Santa Clara last year, that if he had stayed in college, that LSU had an outstanding chance to land him. Duke was also involved there. But between the combine and his projections and everything else, it looks like, Jimmy, I've seen as high as the late teens, and I haven't seen anything recently since the combine that has him out of the first round. So if there was a chance after the combine and all that he was going to slide out of the first round, I think he would have considered the college option for one more year. But once he tested so well, and once he had that first round thing kind of cemented, Alan Graves going to stay in the NBA draft. Official now is what he's telling NBA Draft Express.
Is an LSU consideration?
Yeah, I think if he had stayed in college, I think LSU had a shot that he would have come home for 1 year. Now he might have gone to Duke. I mean, I'm not trying to compare LSU to Duke. If he wasn't from Louisiana, I would have said, well, no. If LSU's recruiting against Duke, Duke wins every time. But because he was from Louisiana, I thought if he would have spent 1 more year in college, LSU had a chance. But once he went to the combine and performed as well as he did, he solidified himself in the first round. So he's
the LSU basketball. Wade's recruiting. His roster building has been almost a bit secretive, a little bit, kind of trickling of information the little bit, but Tom, I talked to somebody very close to the situation, and they got there. You probably won't hear an official release of the entire roster till right when the first day of school is for the fall semester. But they have a very good roster. It's going to have a European flavor to it. There's no doubt. But they're not. I would be surprised, Charlie, even if they have the Trent Johnson empty seats. From what I understand, they're going to. It is not of strategic advantage for them to publicize their roster.
What do you think he's going to say this week? Because he's at SEC media. I did it again. He's at the SEC meetings. He's going to get asked about it. What do you think he's going to say?
It's the same thing you told the last report. Well, we got 7 or 8 guys. We're fine. We're fine. We're going to be fine.
You think he's going to be asked about Luis? You think he'll comment on that situation?
Well, what I do know about the Luis situation, it's not as much Will Wade's doing as it is the family. He played some preseason games. He did not play in any of the regular season games, and he maintained his full student status at St. John's. So he was a full-time student. So it is more of the Luis family, if it's pronounced that way.
And I think it's Lewis, yeah.
Yeah. So.
That's the one there's a real problem with. I've heard people say they have a problem with this whole roster. Look, Kentucky, Louisville, we're going after a lot of these European players. It's absurd to be upset that LSU's bringing in these other guys. It's R.J. Lewis who is the exception. That's where everyone's like, okay, this is a little too far. This is a player who got drafted, had an NBA contract, two-way contract, and is now coming back to school. This is the exception.
It's a little bit different from the kid from Alabama. He played,
he had played in G League games.
Yeah, played in G League games. He did not. He was separated from his academic involvement. But it's also, it's Wade is associated, so Wade's going to get beat up. They don't care about the if it's Lewis's family who's doing this whole thing.
You think they'd be having this fit if he was going back to St. John's?
No.
And I don't think the kid should be playing college basketball in it. But again,
and
let's just be fair about it.
But this roster is not going to be dependent on Lewis going. But, you're getting him or not. But they're going to have a full roster, and they're going to be very talented.
Thanks to Doze. Tomorrow we are at Roca, right down the street here on Government. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.